Romance, baby. Hey y'all, it's Nat. I hope you're having a terrific day today. And for this video, I'm going to be doing a mood reading, Raid My Shelves. Alright, so before we get into anything bookish, make sure to hit like and subscribe down below, as well as tell me in the comments what is the last book that you mood read. Alright, if you're new here, my Raid My Shelves is a series on my channel in which I'm trying to focus on reading my owned TBR. I kind of gamified it a little bit this year to add an extra layer, a little bit more incentive, make it a little bit more fun, but also add an extra challenge to it, which is great, except for when you are trying desperately not to fall into a reading slump, and then it's a little bit difficult. Unfortunately, life has been rather chaotic lately, and my reading has definitely suffered for it a little bit. So I thought, why not try and do some of these Raid My Shelves with me like mood reading? And I think for this first one, I'm gonna call this something along the lines of like finding new favorites. Because of course, if I bought a book, I want to read this book. I'm hoping I'm going to love this book. Let's be honest here. Like there are some books you just know are probably going to be a new favorite in comparison to other books that like, you know you want to read it and you know you'll probably enjoy it, but will it be a new favorite? Maybe not. So I'm starting this one now just to kind of let myself pick up whichever books are calling to me that I really think are going to be new favorites. I have no idea what my TBR is going to be because I'm really just going to let myself mood read through this. How many times can I say mood read in a single intro? So to start things out, I have started Into a Certain Hunger by 𝗖cie Ich𝗁𝗰𝘁. And I actually began this one for Summerween. It was supposed to be the book that I have had on my TBR for more than a year, which I haven't owned it for more than a year, but I have had this on my TBR for a very long time because unhinged woman and horror. Honestly, those two things together definitely made me intrigued. So in this one, we were following Dorothy, who is writing her memoir from prison because she was once a food critic who became a cannibal. And at this point, I am loving it. It is so good. The writing is disgusting and visceral. It's a wonderful juxtaposition of like being crude while also being really pretentious. Somehow Summers manages to describe food in this like wonderfully delectable way and then turn around and kind of use the same language when it comes to other things, like, you know, cannibalism, which is so disturbing, but at the same time, it makes it so that I just don't want to stop reading. Like I said, she's also really crude. There's so much talk of sex in this, and like at times it's not disturbing, but just like a little uncomfy in the way she talks about it because she somehow sounds so detached from it in comparison to like, I don't know, say like a smutty book where you want to feel invested into the romance and the spicy scenes. Whereas here, because Dorothy is maybe not necessarily a psychopath, but definitely has psychopathic tendencies, it feels so removed. It's such an interesting writing style. I'm loving it. A majority of this book really is a character exploration of Dorothy. Every chapter is a different food or a different ingredient that she ties to some specific memory. And then she goes on a little vignette about that element of her life and how that plays into what she eventually becomes. And just every chapter keeps me coming back desperate for more. Like I said, it's super pretentious. I feel like I'm actually expanding my vocabulary reading this book because some of the terminology is just so out there and feels very much like the author is trying to make herself seem smarter than she is. But at the same time, like that perfectly encapsulates the kind of person Dorothy seems to be. By this point, we are finally getting into her exploring more unsavory urges. It's disturbing and weird, but I can't look away. It's like a car wreck. You know what's gonna happen, but you just have to watch things unfold. It's really good. It's so freaking good. I am going through and annotating this. I'm actually starting to get nervous because I'm running out of tabs. So unfortunately I may have to change colors, which is stupid, but like heartbreaking to me because I had the colors to perfectly match the cover and it was very satisfying. Really, really liking this. At this point, I genuinely do not know what could happen in this book to make me not love it. I'm not even halfway in at this point and I have 5-star feels. That is always a little surprising, but at the same time, like, whole premise of this video, I'm not surprised by it at all because I really thought this might be a new favorite. And right now, it seems like past Nat was in fact correct. Hello, loves. So I officially finished out A Certain Hunger by 𝗖cie Ich𝗁𝗰𝘁. And yes, I was correct. I definitely think this is a new favorite because I loved this. I don't know if I really have all that much more to say in comparison to my thoughts when I was at the around the halfway point, because a lot of this book just feels very the same. Everything I loved about it then, I love about it now. The writing in this is delicious. I did like that it started to dive a little bit more into like the distinction of female villainous characters, the distinctions between criminals like Dorothy and male criminals, how they're represented, how people react to them, the motives that are considered like allowable, and the difference in like how evil they're perceived. I really liked all of that. I continue to just adore the food writing in this, the way Summers mixes like this really delicious food writing with this very visceral, gory, unsettling descriptions of, people. Oh, it was just so good. And then kind of something I honestly did not anticipate was a sort of reveal around Dorothy's character, the final thing that kind of pushed her into doing this change. I will be honest with that. I don't 100% know if I like it or not. I mean, it really does still come down to Dorothy making this decision and taking these steps to make the change, but like I have mixed feelings. Without getting into spoilers, I have mixed feelings. But I also really liked seeing more about the relationships she has with some of these characters, not only her victims, but her friends, people who were previously very close to her, and then after what she does are more close to her in a bit different of a sense. Yeah, it was disgusting. It was delicious. I loved it. It was disturbing. It was glamorous. It was pretentious. It was gross. Like, I mean, this was so good. It was such a wonderful juxtaposition of things, and I loved it. I loved it. This was a big ol' 5 stars. This definitely new favorite. I did have a good deal of annotations working through here. My go-tos were for horrific food, black-hearted woman, and great writing. And I definitely think all 3 of those things continued on throughout the entire book. So on that note, the next book that I decided to pick up was The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. Part of this does come from the fact that I have become a lot more of a sci-fi reader, and everything I've heard about this seems like it has that very cozy fantasy feel with, found family and little bits of romance and like some stakes for a plot, but like not too high, but all of that in a sci-fi. And I'm thinking that should be right up my alley. It does sound like something I would very much enjoy. Plus, everything I've heard about this just makes it sound like something that is my style of book. And it actually was voted on to be a pick for my Geek Squad book club that I host over on my Patreon, and pretty much everyone over there who has read it tells me they think I'm going to like it. As you can see, I have already started into it. I'm about 150-ish pages in, and I can say yes, this is going very well. At this point, we really are still in the like setting up stage. We're getting to understand all of these characters, the different relationships they have, how they work together as a crew, and now we are officially setting up the plot of them getting this new job, which is going to be in a more dangerous section of space because there's this species that is constantly at war with itself, and they are actually going to be working to kind of create these wormholes in space through this area. So there are going to be some stakes there, which I'm happy about, and it already does seem like all of the characters are, totally likable and enjoyable in some way. There's one guy that there's he's a bit of a curmudgeon, but I'm already anticipating that like there's gonna be more to him, and the more we get to know him, he's gonna be one of those asshole cinnamon rolls, which are usually my favorite sort of characters, so I am excited for more of that. Plus, we have also seen a little bit of one of the characters, Jinx, and their AI character, loveyoubye, and it does seem like they have a romantic relationship, and I do tend to enjoy AI and human relationships in my sci-fi stories, so I'm very excited to see more of it.
Hey y'all, so I have hit the halfway point into A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, and I'm really liking this. I will say this is very much like I get the cozy sci-fi. Like it does very much feel like a slice of life. We have a plot, but like have we actually developed much of that plot? No, not really. which isn't a problem, honestly. Like that, it still works for me. But I can definitely understand why this is kind of a divisive book. Like if you don't enjoy cozy slices of life stories, you're not gonna like this. But it is working very well for me. I love me a good interspecies romance in sci-fi books. So the fact that we have two of those, super here for it. I was talking about that with Josh, and he pointed out like saying an AI is a different species isn't quite accurate, but like you get what I'm saying there. I've also hit the point now where we've found out what this big secret that Rosemary is hiding was. Good secret. I also like how the character she revealed this to reacted, and kind of across the board so far, I guess I'm realizing this very much feels just like such a positive book that is trying to like remind people of humanity to, you know, treat one another with kindness, and that it's so easy to get wrapped up in the things that make us different, but we should really focus on the things that bring us together. I'm really, really enjoying it. It is so sweet. It's so cute. Like I said, I don't feel like the plot's really doing too much. I am wondering if like maybe the latter half will have a bit higher stakes, if it will go a bit further as far as the plot goes. But even with that, I'm guessing it's going to continue to be more of the same and just kind of feels like a warm hug, an aspirational novel almost. Like it's just putting me in a positive mindset.
Hey y'all, so I've officially finished out The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, and I did in fact love this. I will say I do have a hard time with cozies. Like it's really difficult for me to enjoy a story when there is so little plot. There is plot here. It does have stuff going on, but like by the end of the book, I am shocked at how little actually took place. But again, it's a cozy story. Like that's what cozies do. It's just I like have to remind myself of that. This is part of the problem that I have with cozy books, is because if there's so little happening, I get bored. I wasn't bored at any point in this, and I do think because I cared so much about the characters and the relationships, the dynamics, watching some of these characters like backgrounds and arcs unfold, I really enjoyed all of that. If the plot was amped up, I think I would enjoy it more. Even still though, really had a good time with this. I wouldn't say it's a 5-star. I probably would put this at a 4-star. If I'm feeling really generous, I would probably say 4.5. One way or another, I'm going to continue reading the series. I really enjoyed the characters here. I am very excited to see more of them. I have finally looked to see which character the sequel follows, and given what unfolded for that character at the end of this, I am super excited to see what's going to happen next for them, but I am also nervous. New favorite. I don't know if I would technically label this as a favorite. That said, given how much I enjoyed this and the fact that there's 3 more books in the series, I think this has great potential for a possible favorite new series. And with that, I think I have officially also figured out what book I'm going to be reading next. I really considered picking up another horror, but I wanted to try and go with like a few different genres, specifically the genres that tend to be my favorites. So horror, sci-fi. Next up, romance, baby. This actually worked out really perfectly because I needed a book for my in-person romance book club, and our prompt for the month is a book that was directly recommended to you. But luckily, my friend Allie just recently read You Between the Lines by Katie Naymon, and she had so many positive things to say about it. Comp titled this To Be Treed, which is one of my favorite romances. I did not intend for my hand to perfectly present this book, but here you go. So Allie did think I would really enjoy this one, and that means I am hopeful I will also really enjoy this one, not just for book club reasons, but for this video. If it is similar to Beach Read, then there's a very strong possibility that this may be a new favorite, which is why I'm going to slide it in here. All's fair in love and poetry when former high school classmates reignite their rivalry in a prestigious MFA program in the steamy Enemies to Lovers debut. I love books where the main characters are bookish or writers or something similar to that. Enemies to Lovers, one of my favorite tropes. And then again, Beach Read energy. I'm here for this. I am so here for this. I haven't really heard anybody else talk about this apart from my friend Allie, but I did get a copy of it from Forever Publishing, so shout out to them. I really hope I do enjoy this. So I will talk to y'all when I've officially started in. Hey y'all, so I have started into You Between the Lines and also come to the decision that I am going to be not finishing this book, unfortunately. Yeah, this is a big letdown. I'm very sad about this, but I was just about at, I think like 45% in when I officially decided it's not working for me. I need to give up. So I went into this really excited because it kept getting compared to Beach Read. And I do see the comparison. I understand it, but this feels like the store brand version. January and Beach Read can get on my nerves a little bit, but she has nothing on 𝗖cie here. Oh my gosh. So, reminder, the premise of this book is around 𝗖cie and Will. They went to high school together. We're both in this like selective English course where they were writing poetry, and Will made a snide comment about one of 𝗖cie's pieces, and she's basically held on to this for years. Now, it's about 7 years later. She has just gone into an MFA program to write poetry and is really nervous about this because she has not really been creatively writing for a long time. She went into more the business field, but wasn't feeling fulfilled by that. Ends up running into Will again, and of course this kind of kicks off this rivalry once more, but we learn there was something that happened between the time in high school when he insulted her and now. Somehow it resulted in even more animosity between the two of them. Again, the premise of this, honestly, I really enjoyed. I was very intrigued by everything going on in the story. I really wanted to find out what happened in the past, what was going on there. Why is there this really weird tension between like they want each other, but there's something holding both of them back? What's going on? Where this book really fell down for me is in the characterization of 𝗖cie. She is simultaneously very relatable while also being one of those not like other girls to the nth degree. She's really trying to find something that fulfills her. She wants to make really good adult friends and is constantly battling with her self-esteem, how other people are viewing her, and this imposter syndrome that she very clearly has. But at the same time, oh my god, she's so quirky. She wants to write poetry, but she's not pretentious and academic. She likes Pink and Taylor Swift and was in a sorority and enjoys beer. She doesn't read all these crusty old white man poets. Side note, why does she hate them if she's never read them? You're gonna have more validity if you've actually read the books and hated them than just saying you don't read them and hate them because they're an old white men. She's not pretentious like the rest of her MFA program. Another side note, Will is literally the only character we meet in the MFA group that I would actually say came across in a pretentious way. She is terrified of everybody around her judging her and thinking less of her, while at the same time doing the exact same thing to everybody around her for simply existing. I understood based on her background, like why she was doing some of this stuff, these coping mechanisms she was creating, and we actually see that she is in therapy. She's trying to work on some of the issues she has. Problem was, I was not invested in the growth, and it's also very strong to say growth because halfway into this book, I don't feel like she had really changed at all. It was just taking too freaking long to actually see any development of her character. Again, rolling back to the prologue chapter where Will makes this rude comment about 𝗖's work. Honestly, I was on her side to start. I mean, I'm not really a poetry person, but we see the piece actually here, and I think it was a good way of kind of showcasing how she is struggling to come to terms with the amount of misogyny that still exists in the world that she'll have to experience now that she is entering into adulthood. And Will, a dumb teenage boy, can't really relate to that. So he makes an offhanded comment, but oh my god, it's been 7 years and she is still holding on to this. But not only that, we see to that little flashback time period when they were 21, between the teenagers and now. And this man apologizes for it. So why are you still holding on to it? Why are you still holding it over his head? And going off of that, 𝗖 cannot handle any sort of criticism at all. Honey, I think you might be in the wrong industry then. Enough on 𝗖's character. When it comes to the actual romance, honestly, this is pretty slow burn. By the halfway point, it's really this kind of hot and cold going back and forth between them of like, do they want each other? Do they not? And then whenever we get that flashback scene, I felt like we actually were getting some really good meat around this romance that was developing between the two of them, and like part of why we have so much tension. But where it really fell down for me is Will puts the brakes on for something that I would say is like a very logical and fair reason, and he tries and struggles to talk things out with 𝗖, and she immediately shuts down and just runs away. And that became a pattern. Anytime they would be breaching into like a serious conversation, she would either get defensive and mean or she would run away. And it was getting so tiring because I had already seen Will putting himself out there a few times to 𝗖 to showcase he has feelings for her. And it was almost as though she was being willfully obtuse or like really stretching to try and come up with excuses of why they couldn't be a couple. It was irritating. Like I was honestly just starting to feel bad for Will. And then I actually hit a point where they finally had their first kiss and I cringed in response instead of swooned. That told me right there, I need to give up on this book. It's a romance book. If I am feeling that way about the main couple, I'm not enjoying it. I need to stop. And oh my God, I am so sad. I am so sad about this, y'all. I really wanted to like this. And I actually think another thing that kind of tipped me off that I wasn't having a good time is I was halfway into this book, and usually in romance books, I'm like a tabbing machine. I had 2 lines that made me laugh. That was it. Not a single thing was cute or sweet. Okay, that's not true. There was one moment that was sweet, but by that point, my feelings were starting to really go downhill, so I didn't bother tabbing it. So I didn't like this. I'm really bummed about it. I think if these characters were like 20, I actually probably would have been able to push through it a little bit more because the immaturity and the actions they were taking would have made more sense for their age. But I am the same age as these characters, and like I cannot imagine still having this major of a chip on your shoulder, getting this far through your life without being able to handle any sort of criticism, also like consistently running away from any serious conversation. I too have anxiety, but babe, go to therapy a lot more often. But yeah, so this was a really unfortunate foot to end this video on. At the very least, we had 2 really solid books to start things out. Those I will be keeping. This one I will not. So I guess at the very end of this video, the main point being I was getting stuff off of my own TBR. I managed to do so. And I did also managed to at least find a new favorite. On that note, that is officially it for today, y'all. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, let's leave the like anatomical heart emoji in the comments for woman eating, seeing as how that was the favorite of the video. I have links to all my socials as well as a few ways you can support me, including a Patreon down in the description. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!